Hello, welcome to Curious Life. This week I have been so busy with a lot of general home maintenance, and it got me thinking about what these tasks do to help my home life. And it all comes down to the effect that the space I live in has on me, both mentally and physically. So I thought I'd bring you along for a very busy week, and we could have a chat about why it has become so important for me to work on my home environment and all the things that I've learned about the effect our spaces have on us. So let's dive in with one of the biggest tasks of the week, which was painting as many doors and skirting boards as I could while I introduced myself. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Issa and I make intentional homemaking videos with my wife Blaze. If you love the idea of living intentionally within your home, but also find that you struggle with keeping up with everything, then we're the channel for you. But back to the painting. This is something that I have really overlooked, and the doors have got really dirty with scuff marks everywhere. And even cleaning them just wasn't working. So I decided to paint them, and I cannot believe the difference it's made to the entire house. The biggest difference has been in the hallway, because that's where pretty much every door in the house leads to. And there was always an issue in this area of the house because no matter how much I cleaned it, it never really looked or felt clean. But repainting these areas have made a huge difference, and the whole house feels so much fresher. Whilst I had the paint out, I also decided to repaint the banister, and I finally got around to painting the cat ladder and shelf. I have always planned to paint this, and that's so it matches the banister and just brings the room together a little better. And I've also been planning to do all of this painting for a really long time, but I never found the time. But right now I have a uni assignment due, which means that procrastination is strong right now. So doing a whole lot of house maintenance tasks seemed like a great idea instead of working on my assignment. But aside from procrastination, all of the tasks I'm doing is because I have come to learn that my home environment is incredibly important to me. But not just for me, it is for Blaze too. And the fact that we have the ability to think about doing tasks like refreshing paint is amazing compared to where we started in this house. We weren't making YouTube videos back then because I doubt we would have had the energy. We certainly didn't have the energy for looking after our home well. With both of us struggling with our mental health, just working and paying the bills was all we could manage. So doing tasks like this just never happened. So our home was functional. It was clean enough, but it was disorganised, and the cleaning we did was only ever surface level maintenance cleaning. And this was fine up to a point, but it also had an effect on our mental health, and this was at a time when we were already struggling. So it all ended up being a catch-22 situation where we were feeling awful, so we didn't clean or take care of our home. But then we ended up feeling more depressed because the environment around you is actually really important. A home environment that suits you and your needs can make a huge difference to your stress levels. It can affect your sleep, your focus, and your productivity. I actually find that I cannot work on anything if my office is a mess. Well, I can, but it's much harder, and I really struggle to focus, and I always struggle to focus anyway, so adding in extra distraction is not a good idea. But I'm also a naturally messy person, so my office always gets messy fast while I'm working too. It is a never-ending problem. But over the years, as we could, we focused our energy on the house and made small improvements here and there. And eventually we got to the point we are now, where we feel so much happier in our home, and we are much more able to keep up with the many things that constantly need doing. We definitely are not perfect and have plenty of days where things are a mess, but the difference now is that we've learnt the tools to be able to get back on top of the chores and the housework. And it rarely gets to the point where it's so overwhelming we don't feel like we can ever cope with it, which is often how we felt before. Having a home environment that suits us and makes us feel comfortable and at home has worked wonders for our mental health and our ability to cope. next area we worked on was putting up some more blinds. This has been an ongoing saga for us because the whole process has proved rather difficult, with our drill bits breaking and walls being really difficult to drill into and all sorts of things. But we have made progress, and this is one of the more important blinds we wanted putting up, and that's because we wanted to be able to control the light in the room a little easier. And we hoped that a side effect would mean that Cora wouldn't feel the need to defend the house from every person she saw and would bark a little less. I am very glad it's done now, and it wasn't nearly as painful to do as we were worried it would be. Our next job is to move to the garden, and this is not so much of a job but more of an acceptance of what we have time for right now. I've mentioned in previous videos that the garden is something we really struggle with, and the struggle is mostly the grass. It grows so fast, and our garden is so long that it takes a good couple of hours to cut, and even in sunny weather it is hard to find the time regularly. But with the weather being so changeable and wet in recent years, it's been a real fight to try and keep it cut. This year has been even worse. Every time we think we're going to have a day when we're at home and it's sunny, then it rains again. It feels like it's rained every day for weeks now. So we came to the conclusion that this is a fight we cannot win right now, and decided to cut a path through the grass instead of cutting all of it, and then just let it grow. It's not an ideal solution, and it's not tidy, but it does work. We mostly use the garden for sitting on the deck during the brief sun we do get, and all we need to do is to be able to get to the deck. We've also noticed that the wildlife is absolutely loving our garden right now, and so is the dog. So I guess a tidy garden doesn't matter all that much in the grand scheme of things. And I guess that's one of the important things to remember, especially when you're struggling. It's okay for things to not be perfect. All that matters is you do whatever it is you need to do to be able to enjoy your life and your home, and make sure that your home serves you and not the other way round. At some point we will get to grips with the garden, but right now is not that time, and that's okay. We can still enjoy sitting on the deck, and Cora and all of the wildlife can enjoy the long grass for a while longer. And as predicted, not long after a bright sunny afternoon spent weeding and cutting the path into the grass, the rain came and we moved back inside, where Blaze did a well needed clean of both of our vacuums. And she was also able to do that final corner of tile that got missed off when we did the bathroom makeover that I was finally able to go and buy last week on our shopping trip. It's been so long since this was done, and it was one of those jobs that never really occurred to me to do. So it's good to get it done, and it needed it. There was so much hair stuck inside. And you did hear right, I did say 2 vacuums. We actually do have 2. And it might seem like an odd thing to do, but we actually have one for downstairs and one for upstairs. And this is because that we found vacuuming one of our really difficult tasks that neither of us are very good at. And when we find it's a task that neither of us can do very easily, we need to reduce as many barriers as possible. And it might seem silly, but one of the barriers was that the hoover was never where we needed it to be. If we needed to hoover upstairs, the hoover was downstairs, and vice versa. And that would mean that we just wouldn't do it, or we'd say we'd do it later and then it never got done. I think when you struggle with tasks, it is okay to accept that you struggle, and put things in place that make it slightly easier for you. This is our solution, and it has really worked. We hoover at least once a week, sometimes more often, whereas before we could go weeks before actually getting around to it. We are hoping to replace the hoover at some point with a cordless one, and I am hoping that one hoover will do and that we can have that in a place where it will work, but we shall find out. But that's the end of our week of household chores. We got so much done, and I am pretty pleased with the progress. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, then please do subscribe. I did say in a recent video I was hoping to slow down a little for the summer, but I keep finding all of these jobs to do and I'm not sure I'm capable of slowing down. So keep watching future videos to find out if I do slow down or not. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you being here. I hope you have a lovely day and week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.